Here's another example of how unsustainable the economic landscape is in this country, and how the only thing that is sustaining it is the public's ignorance. Now, before I get into this leaked video from the FDIC meeting, I want to go through the article from Need to Know News, and then we'll jump right into the leaked video of the FDIC confirming what I just said. So let's jump right into it. FDIC bankers discuss bail-ins to deal with impending market collapse. The FDIC's Systemic Resolution Advisory Committee held a meeting in November to discuss how the next market crash would occur and what steps would need to be taken to ensure not everybody tries pulling out their money of the financial system at the same time. One FDIC member noted that while institutions will soon be able to figure out the dire implications of a financial collapse, the general public should not, because that would lead to unintended consequences. So here they're talking about unintended consequences. What are the unintended consequences of the general public finding out the dire implications of a financial collapse? The FDIC insures $9 trillion of bank deposits with only $125 billion worth of assets. The FDIC cannot insure everybody in a crisis when many people want to withdraw their money all at once. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation officials recently discussed how to deal with the next approaching market collapse and hide alarming data from depositors to prevent bank runs. Okay, so now let's jump right into the video. And after you watch the video, I want you to ask yourself two questions. Number one, why haven't I seen this on any mainstream media outlet anywhere? And number two, if the bankers don't trust the banks, why should I? So let's jump right in.
It should be accessible when people need to know, but I don't think you have much hope of reaching a public that doesn't have a professional need to know.
I completely agree with that. I almost think you'd scare the public if you put this out. Like, why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank? Like, my insurance company doesn't tell me what they're doing with my assets. They just assume they're going to pay my claim, right? I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do.
You hear them? They're laughing at the general public because they believe the general public is ignorant, because the general public has more faith and confidence in the banking system than the bankers do.
The FDIC insurance is there. They know it works. They put their money in. They're going to get their money out. So there's a select crowd of people that are in the institutional side. And if they want to understand this, they're going to find a way to understand this. There's a bunch of law firms represented in this room. There's a bunch of people that will charge them by the hour a lot of money to explain this all to them. And it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And they all have huge staffs. But I would be careful about the unintended consequences of starting to blast too much of this out in the general public.
So there you have it. Now let's look at this other video where another FDIC member said there are going to be bank runs. Let's check it out.
Wondered whether there are some market tests of whether you're being heard. And I think about TLAC. So TLAC should respond to good and bad news about the institutions. And it's really important. I mean, it's a little bit conflicted, right? I mean, it's important that people understand they can be bailed in, but you don't want a huge run on the institution. But they're going to be. And it could be an early warning signal to the FDIC and the primary regulators when these things happen. And there may be some other prices, this is similar to what Jay was saying, in the market that you can tell whether people understand who's going to be protected, who isn't going to be protected. It would be, I think, an interesting study to look at the evolution of market prices in a situation like March of 2020, for example, and see whether people understood what might happen. Right?
So before I go, I just want to recap. 9 trillion worth of assets being insured by 125 billion. That math does not work anywhere. It's a Ponzi scheme. Now you can bury your head in the sand and ignore this information as if it doesn't affect you, but ignorance doesn't make you immune. Ignorance just makes you vulnerable. See, with freedom comes responsibility, and part of that responsibility is being informed. We are independent and free and informed people. But now we have allowed the bankers to dumb us down because they control the education system. That's how they know they dumb. That's why they can sit in the meetings and say, the general public, you ain't got much hope in that. He said it. We don't have much hope in reaching a general public who does not have a professional need to know or something like that. So they think you stupid. So we have to change that paradigm and become more informed so that these people realize that we are not stupid and that you can't pull this shit off on us anymore. That's what we need to be doing.